Augusta, Georgia. And you can see Hudson a couple of years older than Cotto. Cotto actually has celebrated his 18th birthday, so he's now 18 years of age. Cotto, Rich, many people feel the best of the Puerto Rican contingent that is here tonight, and probably their best medal hope.
They have high hopes for him. When you ask the coaches who they think would be their best medal hope in the year 2000, they immediately said Miguel Cotto. And he comes from a fighting family, basically. In fact, we have seen his relatives on our Fight Time on Fox series. He has one brother and one cousin, both in the professional ranks, just getting started.
Counter left hand by Cotto to start things here. Hudson's a guy who has been fighting for 10 years despite his tender age, out of Augusta, Georgia. He is the United States champion, having defeated Sergio De La Torre in the finals.
Oddly enough, he hasn't competed much in these long series of dual meets against other countries, though, Barry. He's only fought against Mexico and has not been involved in the others despite winning the national championship. However, he did compete in the Goodwill Games and competed very well as he finished second, got the silver medal there.
Augusta, Georgia is starting to be something of a hotbed of amateur boxing these days. Cotto is very much a professional style, as you can see. Strong upper body from both these guys for lightweights.
Lightweight division in the Olympic Games is at the 132-pound limit, 3 pounds less than the professional ranks, and it has been very good to the United States. In 1976, Howard Davis. 1984, Pernell Whitaker. 1992, Oscar De La Hoya, all winning gold at 132.
Nice combination by Cotto. Cotto working behind a jab, bringing that right hand quickly.
He mixes it up very well, Cotto. He has some good skills, some very good moves, too, especially with his feet, Barry.
He really does. It's funny, I was just noticing that, Rich. Just at 18 years old, he belies his youth. Counter left hand there, and a good one.
He turns and pivots very well and walk out of there when need be. And he mixes up his style, too, Cotto. He can lay back and box, or he can be aggressive. We've seen both of them in this very good first round.
And working the jab extremely well. And behind that jab comes the right hand, and it gets there quickly. Excellent work by Cotto. Crowd here in Kissimmee, incidentally, pretty mixed in its support of these two countries. Again, Cotto with a combination right hand lead and then a left hook.
Jacob having a little trouble getting started here. I think he's been a little taken aback by the aggressiveness of Miguel Cotto.
Excellent first round by the Puerto Rican. Cotto working the room a little bit here, too, and there's a lot of support for the Puerto Rican team amongst these fans.
Yes, he drew big cheers. And they responded to him when he asked for a little bit after the round was over.
Jacob Hudson is trying to figure out what hit him.
Well, Miguel Cotto did in several different ways, Barry, in that first round.
I don't think anything really hurt Hudson in that first round, but I believe Cotto probably will have a pretty good advantage. I hate to speculate because of the scoring system here, as we said, but I think it would be hard to see that first round any other way but the way you and I saw it. Ready to go in the second round. Well, that's not nearly as lopsided as I would have thought, and I don't know. You know, it's a system that, in my humble opinion, doesn't work. But it does keep the nationalism out of it, I have to say that. And that was a real problem, especially at the Olympic game level.
Now Hudson trying to come out here faster, Barry, and to start quicker. He shuffles forward, Hudson. He's very orthodox. And I think that probably hurts him when he gets into a match here with as unorthodox and with as many different styles as it seems Cotto can go to. As Hudson has one forward, it's kind of straight ahead in an orthodox fashion, puts a jab out there, kind of fights by the book, I think you would say.
Cotto, on the other hand, keeps his gloves very high. Good, seems to be a pretty good defensive fighter, very quick hands, and as you said earlier, good feet.
Cotto blinking a little bit with his right eye, seemed to get hit right in the eye.
Cotto is just quicker.
Yes, his hand quickness is better, so he can throw flurries and basically start beating Hudson to the punch as he did there.
4-punch combination. How many do you think will count?
Well, he might have got one out of it.
Might have got one.
When they're exchanging, Cotto will usually get the better of it because he can land 4 or 5 shots to maybe 2 or 3 for Hudson.
And you know, when I criticize the judging system, it's not a criticism of the judges. I just think that it's impossible to watch two fighters at the same time.
Well, you really don't know what to expect from Cotto. As he goes southpaw now and goes side to side, he just mixes up his styles. I think he's a very confusing guy to try to figure out how to fight.
Keeps moving his hands, bobbing his head too. He has a very good style, I think, not only for an amateur, but just in general he has a good style. There was a counter left hand. And a straight right. And a hook. And a standing 8. That's impressive.
Yeah, he is very impressive. This is Julio Pizarro, the referee from Puerto Rico, who is pulling off the standing 8 count.
Now we're going to have the doctor look at Hudson. I didn't see a cut.
All right, the doctor can just look in the eyes to see if a man is groggy, to see how he's doing.
Hudson does not appear to be hurt.
Incidentally, you know, at any point during the match, the ref can consult the ringside physician, and the physician's recommendation is binding.
And the safety of the fighters is really premier in the minds of the officials, and that's very good. Cotto, a big round. Now, I said that in the first round. This time I really mean it. We're coming back.
Work by Miguel Cotto in that second round, showing a variety of styles. There you see the left and the follow-up right that landed, and then the left hook that seemed to stun and result in a standing 8 count of Jacob Hudson.
So we come to the third and final round as we look at the tabulation. And Cotto, in the judge's mind, again, not nearly as lopsided as this table feels it is.
I would guess that those points that Hudson scored in that round were recorded in the very first minute of that round.
A little blood from the nose of Hudson now.
Yeah, he was bleeding right at the end of the round, and they were unable, apparently, to stem the tide of blood. Hudson, as he did in the last round, trying to come out faster. I can see a lot of people on the international scene having trouble with Miguel Cotto in the amateur ranks.
Absolutely. He has very much a professional style, too. Although, as we said earlier, that's what's starting to count now in the amateurs. It's not nearly the difference that there once was.
Jacob Hudson is ranked #1 in the United States. Is the U.S. national champion this year. So you can imagine he was second silver medalist in the Goodwill Games. So you see what Cotto is doing to him here tonight, and that gives you just a level of just how good Cotto is. Cotto, where there is an international Pan Am boxing games. It's not the Pan Am Games, but an international boxing competition Pan American Games, and he was the gold medalist in that.
And was a silver medalist in the Central American Games, and lest you think that that's not a big-time event, I hasten to point out that the Cubans are involved in that. So to win a silver medal against arguably the most powerful boxing team in the world is something pretty special. Again, we're going to get a look at the nose of Hudson, but it is not a problem.
I think he just wanted to come in, maybe make sure it wasn't broken.
I have an idea we're going to see a lot more of Miguel Cotto.
And they'll try to keep him amateur if they can, but they got to go 2 years. Let me tell you, this kid's ready to turn professional right now.
He's very skilled. And obviously well-trained, well-coached. Does a lot of things that a lot of pros that you and I see don't do. Hudson actually is having a better third round.
But as he comes forward, he still got caught with that clean left hand. And again, as now we see Cotto in the southpaw stance. He just seems to, especially for an amateur, to be able to do it all. He moves well, his hand speed, pretty decent defensively for an amateur. Very impressive. And that was a good left hook by Jacob Hudson.
Yes, it was. I think Hudson is probably winning this third round. Now, whether or not he can get back into the fight after trailing 12-6 after 2 is somewhat questionable.
Cotto seemed more concerned with moving, however, and fighting defensively in this round than he did. He was more aggressive in the first 2 rounds than in this last one.
And it's over. Not a bad third round for the United States champion, but whether or not he had enough to beat a very talented Puerto Rican remains to be seen. I was impressed with Miguel Cotto.
I was very impressed. I think he has a very bright future. I'll be surprised if they can keep him amateur for the next 2 years. But if they do, he'll be a real threat to everybody.
I think he will. So we'll see who wins this one. We'll see if Hudson's third round was enough to overcome a 6-punch deficit, and we'll find all of that out in this continuing drama when we come back. Well, another good one is in the books here at the Kissimmee Civic Center in Kissimmee, Florida. Let's find out who won this one now as we go back to Mark Middleton.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have a decision in the 132-pound weight class. The winner on points, Esquina Roja, red corner, Miguel Cotto.
Now Miguel Cotto wins it 19-10, so he did keep his margin in the final round.
Look at this sportsmanship now. He was holding the ropes open for his opponent, who did not come over immediately, but he was going to escort him out, but he goes and gets his medal, which is well-deserved here tonight.
Yeah, one of the nice things about amateur boxing, of course, and now he'll do the same thing for his opponent. And still, Hudson says, I think I'll hang around here, sop up the glory, and finally Cotto says, well, I'm going to take my medal, and I'm going to go home. But an impressive victory for Miguel Cotto as he beats the American champion, Jacob Hudson, and he does so in very convincing fashion. We're coming back.